What's up YouTube and Unreal developers? In this video I'm going to show you how you can implement sign in with Apple in your iOS projects. First off, if you like this video, you can support me by going and checking out my new game on the App Store for iOS currently. It's called Aerial Raider, and you can find the link in the description. Also, if you feel like it, you could subscribe, share, etc. I very much appreciate any of you that download my game and try it though. Anyway, let's get into the tutorial. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is to download and install this tool right here. It's quite expensive, and first off I want to say I'm not affiliated with Naniva Studios in any way. I am affiliated with Far Out Studios and Happy Bastard Studios only. But their tools are really good, albeit expensive. All their tools are like $90. That being said, they do work. So if you want to follow along with this guide, you're going to need this tool. If you want to do this in like C++ and the source code yourself, you can do that, but I can't share their code, so I can't really help you because I would just be, following along with what they did. So I can't do that. But there are some things that are kind of lacking in the documentation on this tool. The sign in with Apple gives you this, which explains the kind of core nodes, but there's not really anything else about sign with Apple beyond how to do those. So there's a lot of setup process that goes into this. So once you have this tool, you're going to come into the Epic Games Launcher and install iOS native goodies to the engine you're going to use. And here's where the install gets a little bit tricky. Once you've installed that, I want you to search for iOS native and find where this actually is in the engine. Find the plugin in the marketplace folder of your specific engine version. And once you have this, I actually want you to remove it. Okay, first actually go in your project and enable the plugin, and then remove it from the engine, but move it into your project folder at the root, and just put it in a new plugins folder if you don't already have one. And this is very important. And also, if you don't already have C++ in your project, you're going to need to convert it to a C++ project by going into the Tools tab of Unreal Engine and just making a new C++ class, and that'll be good. But yeah, it's very important that you add this way. I wasn't able to get iOS sign-in working correctly until I did this, and I did also make a couple very small code changes, but I don't think those actually were the problem. I think the problem was the way I was importing it in here. If you still have problems, I can't share their full code, but I can help you with the changes that I made that also I did at the same time as when I got it working. So anyway, once you have this set up, you need to also make sure, of course, in your identifiers on the developer portal of Apple, you need to make sure you have and I'm actually not going to show that because it has my information, of course, but you want to make sure you have the sign in with Apple capabilities and just the default. You don't need to add anything as far as the settings on that. Just make sure it's active, and then recreate your provisioning profile and make sure that's the provision profile that you set in Xcode/Unreal Engine. So you get all that done, and then you still got a couple more things to do. That should pretty much work for the most part. Like I said, I'm not sure the code changes I did actually had any effect, but make sure you check enable sign in with Apple in the project settings once this plugin is enabled and stuff. If you want, you could also go in the source code and again, I can't really show you, but go in there and actually change the build.cs if you need to, and you can just default that to true. You'll see in there where it's set. But yeah, once you have all that, make sure you, of course, set up those nodes that they have in their documentation. The nodes work fine, but you can, just try those out. But first, of course, package your project, and then once you have your project package, you're going to need to go into your Xcode project, and you're actually going to need to repackage this to make sure this entitlements get in there correctly. So go into your intermediate, go to Project Files, iOS, Xcode project. And then up here, you can add capabilities, and then you're just going to type in the sign in with Apple and make sure that is enabled. And then you're going to need to archive from here. You always want to archive from Xcode, otherwise the entitlements might not get added correctly. And then once you have your archive, you can go in the window organizer, and then you can distribute your app version just like that. So yeah, that's pretty much the majority. If you still have some issues, feel free to give me a shout. There were a lot of things I had to figure out with this tool, but it works very well once you get it working. Keep in mind the display name that comes back with the sign in with Apple is going to be like, in my instance, it was my first and last name. I wanted the Game Center display name. So if you were looking for how to get the Game Center display name, that's a little bit of a different animal, but I can show you how you can get that, and then you could propagate it to PlayFab or whatever, wherever your player base is, for the username if you just want to have an automated login system without showing the user's, first and last name. But check that video out if you need some extra help, and please do check out Aerial Raider if you like this video, and/or subscribe, like, share, etc. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope it helps.